Hello and Happy New Year. Thanks so much for joining us as we take you around San Diego. I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day. I'll get you caught up on a week's worth of news and look ahead in just 30 minutes. So California is now providing Medi-Cal insurance to everyone in the state who is eligible to receive it, regardless of if they are here illegally or not. Governor Gavin Newsom signed this into law in 2022, but it's just now taking effect. And as CBS 8's Steve Price explains, while some San Diegans are applauding the new law, others fear it will have a devastating financial effect.
For those who qualify, California already provides Medi-Cal insurance for those who are 25 and younger and those who are 50 and above. This new law that goes into effect today fills that gap from 26 to 49. Local Republican leaders say we can't afford it, but supporters say this benefits everyone.
More than 700,000 undocumented immigrants are now eligible for Medi-Cal, and those fighting years to get this passed say this is a great day.
We're talking about individuals who clean our houses. We're talking about community members who have the lowest paying jobs.
The state's own analysis says this will cost California $2.6 billion when fully implemented.
The state already is going to be about $65 billion in debt.
County Supervisor Jim Desmond is one of several local Republican leaders who say this is not the time to be stretching our state's budget, especially when so many San Diegans are struggling to pay their bills.
A lot of us pay a lot of money for insurance, and it just seems to be kind of a slight to those that are working hard and providing and having to pay for their own insurance when somebody else gets it for free from just walking into the country.
But supporters of the new law say this will actually help San Diegans in multiple ways. For one, if people get preventative care, they're less likely to get really sick and end up later in our overcrowded emergency rooms.
If people are getting the right care at the right place in the right time, then that leads to a more efficient system for all of us. It's a less of a burden on the hospitals and clinics.
And they say if people around us are healthier, they're less likely to get us sick.
During COVID, we were all, we wanted everybody to get a vaccination. And we wanted that because it was integral to our collective health, right? And so our collective health is strengthened by this important milestone of Medi-Cal for all.
Desmond and El Cajon Mayor Bill Wells point out that 65,000 migrants have entered our region in the past 3 months, many of whom now qualify for health insurance, and they fear this new law will encourage even more people to enter California. Steve Price, CBS 8.
Steve, thank you. And meanwhile, the Ped West border crossing is back open, but operations are still limited. It will be open every day until 11. Northbound operations reopen Thursday morning at 6 a.m. and will be open until 2 p.m. daily. San Ysidro business owners say this is kind of a relief, but the closure last month already put their businesses at risk.
It puts almost 6,000 jobs at risk. It puts almost $1 billion in sales a year at risk. And then again, the impact that it has on our daily lives.
Yeah, the Ped West crossing was closed in September and then again in December in response to an influx of migrants at the border. Several other border crossings along the southern border were closed for similar reasons. Well, we now know the name of a woman whose body was found inside a freezer in Allied Gardens. Police say relatives visiting from out of town found the body of Mary Margaret Haxby Jones in the freezer in the home back on December 22nd. Detectives say Haxby Jones used to live at that address. She would have been 81 years old and could have been missing or dead for up to 9 years. The case is being investigated as a suspicious death. Anyone with information is asked to call the San Diego Police Homicide Unit. And since 2018, San Diego police have taken more than 13,000 illegal guns off of our streets. And now, of course, we are working for you to find out where these guns came from and how many more might be out there. CBS 8 compiled data for the last few years to take a closer look at guns in the city of San Diego. CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes, again, is working for you on this story and has a look at those numbers.
It's scary, yeah, because I live in there. And that's why San Diego police say they are working to get and keep guns off our streets.
Oh, yellow, India code 121199. A weapon in his hand.
With a goal to keep San Diegans.
It just seems more and more we're coming across people who are willing to turn and fire at police.
And law enforcement safe.
So this is where we keep all of our rifles for the gun property. We have guns that are ready for disposal, as well as weapons that have been used in sex crimes, as well as homicides.
Captain Laura McLean gave CBS 8 an inside tour of the San Diego Police Department's gun vault, where more than 13,000 guns are held for safekeeping and for evidence. Some of the guns inside these white boxes were used in San Diego's most heinous murders and violent crimes, including police shootings and sex crimes.
And that doesn't include the weapons that we're holding for evidence on any crime in the city of San Diego.
CBS 8 is working for you, taking a closer look at where all of these guns come from. Since 2018, SDPD has confiscated more than 6,000 guns for evidence used in crimes. Nearly 150 were considered found property. Nearly 5,000 were considered gun safekeeping, and nearly 2,000 guns held here have various points of origin outside of evidence for crimes. But what does the 5,000 guns for safekeeping mean?
Someone who's making any type of threat to another person, DVs will go and we'll confiscate all of their weapons. We've had school threats where we've gone to the houses and we'll confiscate any of the weapons at the houses where a student or an adult has made a threat to a school.
CBS 8 took a look at the different types of guns found. More than 1,500 were shotguns, about 3,000 were long guns or assault rifles, and SDPD has seized more than 8,500 handguns. And police say this is just the tip of the iceberg.
We only have a very small fraction of what is out there.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? That was our Kirsten Holmes reporting. Well, synagogues across the state are on heightened alert after nearly 100 received bogus bomb threats, including 6 synagogues here in San Diego. The threats were sent by email earlier this week, causing significant disruptions. Heidi Gantwerk is the president and CEO of the Jewish Federation of San Diego. She says her community is no stranger to hate, but also says Jewish institutions have seen a sharp increase in anti-Semitic threats just recently.
There's been an incredible uptick since October 7th. Anti-Semitism never actually went away completely, but the intensity and the speed of the increase since October 7th has been shocking, a little bit breathtaking.
Yeah, I am sorry to hear that. So since December 13th, more than 700 anti-Semitic incidents have been reported nationwide. Well, crews are taking a close look at the damage to the seawall at the children's pool in La Jolla. Last week's powerful waves brought down portions of the wall. We did alert the city, and now crews from the city have been out evaluating that damage. The city says they've discovered part of the railing is completely missing and preps for repairs are underway. But one organization, the Sierra Club Seal Society, told us they're asking the city to hold off on those repairs because right now is pupping season for those seals who live there.
We believe that there should always be access to the seawall when it's considered safe for people to be on it, as well as for the seals as well. What we are hoping for is that the city would delay any kind of repairs until after the pupping season. The seals are struggling this year against environmental factors, so any kind of repairs would actually interfere with their reproduction cycle.
Yes, so the seals are expected to give birth starting at the end of January, and then the season ends in May. And with temperatures dipping into the 40s at night, more of you are turning on your heaters and paying the price when it comes to the bill. CBS 8's Brian White is also working for you on how to keep your energy costs down.
With these colder temperatures lately, we've been cranking our heater to 70, and we've been seeing the effect on our power bill. This was my SDG&E bill at $120 for October when I wasn't using the heater. It bumped up to $190 the next month as it started getting colder. And now that I've turned up the heat throughout December, my current bill's at $221. That's an increase of more than $100 from a few months ago. So what can we do to save money on our heating bill? First and foremost, making sure our HVAC system isn't working harder than it needs to.
This is a standard filter. It's important to understand that it's absolutely critical to keep this one changed on a regular basis because of the restriction of the airflow. If you restrict airflow too much, your heat exchanger gets too hot.
Keith Zirk is with Personal Plumbing, Heating and Cooling and has 30 years in the HVAC business. He says when you change your filter, it's important to use the right size.
This one happens to be a 16 by 25, which is sized for this particular furnace. And it's also important to recognize that the airflow is already marked on there, so you want to make sure that you're putting it in properly.
What about closing off vents to rooms we don't need to heat? Can that save money? Keith says no, it might actually cause damage.
Please understand, your system is designed to have all the vents open. If you start shutting off different registers, you're now restricting airflow again, and you can cause havoc with overheating your heat exchanger.
And if you don't have a central HVAC system, you might be using a portable space heater to keep warm. Keith says be careful and keep it on a flat surface.
A couple of things to look out for is they do get hot, so if you have children in the house, you have to make sure that they're not in access to them, and as well as making sure there's no flammables around them.
No matter how you're heating your home, a good carbon monoxide detector is key.
Carbon monoxide is an issue with older furnaces. That's why it's very important that you pick the proper carbon monoxide detector. So it's really important when you buy one or when you're looking and researching one that you get the lowest parts per million as possible.
To keep things running smoothly, Keith recommends getting your HVAC system serviced once a year by a professional. Working for you, Brian White, CBS 8.
Good info. Thank you, Brian. Well, San Diego is paradise at a price. We are working for you once again and asking realtors and an economist if you should buy a house in 2024. Mortgage rates are now the lowest level since May. Right now, on average, mortgage rates are around 6.5%. Last year, we saw some of the highest rates in years, close to 8%. Experts say the Federal Reserve raised interest rates to combat inflation, but as the economy improves, they expect to lower at least 0.5%. But experts say that doesn't mean you should wait to buy.
So my advice is if you can qualify right now for this payment, get into that home before those prices continue to rise. Because if you wait, you're going to be battling more buyers and then you're going to be paying a higher price.
Yeah, experts say when rates go down, more people qualify to buy a home. And since supply is still low, the extra competition will drive home prices up. Experts think mortgage rates could go down to 6% or lower this year. Let's hope so. Well, right now, San Diego County is giving $42 million to 9 affordable housing developments. They will be in Fallbrook, San Diego, La Mesa, and Chula Vista. 3 of them will be on excess county land, 2 on land owned by MTS, and the rest will be on private property. 872 homes are set to be built, with 268 of them for extremely low income. Meantime, minimum wage is taking a big jump to $20 an hour for fast food workers employed by big chains here in California. Supporters say this move is a long time coming, but as CBS 8's Richard Allen tells us, others say this new law could end up hurting the workers it's intended to help.
And this major boost to fast food workers' minimum wage here in California is set to take effect in April. But already some fast food chains like Pizza Hut are responding by cutting jobs.
At first I was more like, really? After I leave, they decide to do this?
San Diegan Noah Davidson Mendiola recently quit his job as a shift worker at McDonald's. He's in full support of this move to raise fast food workers' minimum hourly wage to $20 an hour.
I'm both happy because fast food workers really don't get paid enough to deal with a lot of the situations, but it's also like, come on, you should have done this a long time ago.
And while this pay hike applies to fast food businesses with more than 60 locations nationwide, some analysts believe it will spur other businesses to follow suit.
Everyone else has to match, right? Because if you can work at McDonald's or Starbucks for $20 an hour, why would you stay at the kitchen at Olive Garden or even at Walmart?
But not everyone sees this particular move targeting fast food chains as the right one.
I wouldn't say I'm particularly in favor of it, but I understand at the same time that a lot of these people just can't afford to live here.
Dale Young is a retired small business owner. He believes more needs to be done to stabilize the overall economy and not just this particular sector of the labor pool.
It's a Band-Aid. I mean, when is it going to stop? I mean, is next year they're going to raise it to $25 an hour?
He also points out that this mandatory pay increase will force some businesses to cut jobs to maintain their bottom line. Case in point, Pizza Hut, which has announced it will lay off more than 1,200 delivery drivers at hundreds of franchises across the state before this new law takes effect. Its parent company recently told Business Insider our franchisees independently own and operate their restaurants in accordance with local market dynamics and comply with all federal, state, and local regulations, while continuing to provide quality service and food to our customers via carryout and delivery.
And for more information on this and other new laws that are taking effect here in California in 2024, just go to cbs8.com.
Richard, thank you, and feel better, my friend. Well, there is also a new law requiring large businesses to donate their leftover food. It's designed to reduce waste and feed people, of course. But how's it going to work? CBS 8's Shannon Handy went to Feeding San Diego to find out for herself.
Feeding San Diego has long worked with grocery stores and other vendors to collect donations. SB 1383 will now require larger venues such as Snapdragon to take part. The goal is twofold: reduce food waste in our landfills, all while feeding more people in need. At Feeding San Diego, food is constantly coming in and going out. 76% of what the organization distributes is rescue, meaning items that could have been thrown away were instead donated. Senate Bill 1383 looks to increase those numbers even more.
This bill, SB 1383 bill, is really a win-win. It's keeping food out of the landfill, and it's feeding people at the same time.
Patty O'Connor is Feeding San Diego's chief operating officer. She explained SB 1383 first went into effect in 2022, requiring certain businesses, such as grocery stores, donate unused food to food recovery organizations. As of January 1st of this year, the law expanded to include hotels, large restaurants, and big venues like Snapdragon and Petco Park.
There's so much food that gets thrown into the landfill, and when it goes to the landfill, it turns into methane gas. So that is actually the main reason that this bill was passed.
In fact, those small compost bins the city of San Diego passed out last year came from SB 1383. But not all leftover food from large venues can be donated. O'Connor says there are strict guidelines to ensure everything is safe.
You can't take it out of the buffet and then donate it because there's just been too many people interacting with it. So that kind of thing. If there's food that's been hot, it needs to be chilled to a certain temperature and then ideally frozen.
O'Connor admits implementing the new law takes a lot of work, something Feeding San Diego is more than willing to do. For example, they're the ones who coordinate donation pickups.
We connect the food donor, the grocery store, or say the venue, with our partner, and we have that partner go directly to pick it up and bring it back to the community.
That model eliminates the need for additional warehouse space since most donations are distributed immediately. Feeding San Diego already works with the San Diego Zoo as well as the Hotel del Coronado. O'Connor expects more venues will jump on board soon, saying if they need any assistance doing so, they're here to help.
This is what we do day in and day out.
Shannon Handy, CBS 8.
Yeah, thankful for what they do too. Shannon, you too. Thanks. Well, local experts say Latinas are more likely to start a business in the next 3 years than non-Latinas. One Chula Vista Latina entrepreneur started her own designer bag business. She credits a lot of her success to resources from the Chula Vista Chamber of Commerce. The nonprofit Humane de San Diego helps Latinas start their own businesses. They say during the pandemic, many Latinas started their own business while also being caretakers at home.
Because we are resilient people, we really look for opportunities to still survive and make ends meet. And so a lot of women started businesses during that time.
Humane de San Diego provides resources and networking opportunities to Latinas of all ages. We have some links on CBS8.com. Just click on the online version of this story. Well, all that wind, rain, high surf, and tides left quite a mess along our coastline. When our crews first got to the Mission Beach Boardwalk morning, much of it was really covered in sand, of course. Businesses then along the boardwalk say storms like this really don't happen here very often. And when they do, everyone from those who live here to visitors and even businesses really took notice.
People can't walk like barefooted. You can do that, but with the shoes, it's kind of messy. So most people look around and just go back and leave.
Yeah, really doesn't happen that often. It was cool to see from a safe distance away, but wow, left some damage too. The City of San Diego's Parks and Recreation Department says the cleanup should take 2 to 3 days, depending on weather conditions and staffing. Yeah, well, the reopening of the Ocean Beach Pier also remains uncertain because of that storm. The pier has been closed since October due to previous storm damage. And the big waves that pounded our coastline over the New Year's weekend really inflicted new damage to the pier. People who live in OB tell us when the pier is closed, things just aren't the same.
We'll never walk on it again, I'm sure. You know, the way things are, that takes forever to do anything down here anymore.
It's such a good one, too. Well, the city has spent nearly $2 million on repairs over the last 5 years. The extent of the new damage is being assessed, and we don't know yet if it will ever open again. A replacement pier is already, though, in the early planning stages. The San Diego Humane Society says it's accepting surrendered pets again, but by appointment only. It paused dog surrenders because of a respiratory illness there at the shelter. The Humane Society says the spread of the disease, called strep zoo, was likely caused by overcrowding at the shelters. The Humane Society is still over capacity, but numbers have gone down just a little bit. 400 pets are available for adoption right now.
If you have room in your home and your heart and you're thinking about adopting, now is really a good time because we have so many deserving animals in our care who need a second chance for the new year.
Yeah, the Humane Society also has about 40 lost pets that were brought in over the New Year's holiday. If you lost your pet, text the number there on your screen to see if it's there at the shelter. Reclaim fees are waived until this weekend. Well, the mommy tax, it's the price women in the workforce pay to have children because studies show women with children make less money than women without children. CBS 8's Anna Laurel spoke with women all over San Diego and met with one working mom who even created an online platform to keep kids busy and help out working parents.
I posted about this mommy tax on a couple local mom Facebook groups I'm in, and my phone has been blowing up today with women sharing their experiences. Now, many didn't want to go on camera because they've either been passed over for a promotion at work or they're seriously considering leaving their job.
I was an occupational therapist for 20 years.
Wen is a mom of two who left a career she loved after she had kids.
I started to crack a little bit and started really thinking like, you know, something needs to change. I can't be juggling all these plates.
She felt she had to choose her kids or her career.
It's a tough pill to be like, oh man, I really need to choose, you know, which one to prioritize.
According to online education platform Enrich HQ, 18% of moms switched jobs or left the workforce last year. 15% of them stayed home because of child care issues. One mom in my local Facebook group says, I have 2 in child care that takes over half my salary. Another says, I was out of the workforce for 2 years and am now re-entering part-time, but had to take a major step down. These are factors into the mommy tax. Fewer career opportunities, higher child care costs.
They're passed up for promotions. They're not offered choice assignments. There's just this sort of underlying view that they would be less than at their job.
Single mom Carlene Haylett created the website Enrich HQ to help moms pay that tax. The site offers live interactive classes for kids 5th grade and up, keeping them busy so a parent can work. She says corporate America is not family friendly and needs to do better.
Executive leaders and HR leaders really need to be looking at their benefits offerings, specifically around childcare, in a larger, more holistic way.
I count myself as one of the lucky ones. I have friends who are single moms, and I can't even imagine how they do it.
Here's to all you moms. In San Diego, this is Anna Laurel for CBS 8.
Yeah, cheers to that, Anna, thank you. Well, Carlsbad's famous Hula Girl is celebrating her centennial birthday and sharing the untold story behind one of the biggest fads in modern American history. As we take you in the Zevely Zone, Jeff heads to the La Costa Glen retirement community in Carlsbad for a party to remember.
It was 1956 when Joan Anderson spotted this hoop in Australia and brought it to America. The hula hoop may be a young person's game, but don't tell that to Joan Anderson.
I feel like 100.
Born and raised in Australia, Joan brought this hoop to America almost 70 years ago and named it the hula hoop.
It was the hardest item ever in toys in the world.
Joan pitched her hula hoop to the toy company Whammo. Her daughter Laura Lynn says a handshake deal left her mom empty-handed.
I think the biggest thing that bugged me for all these years was my mom never got the credit for bringing it to America and putting smiles on faces throughout the world.
That changed in 2018 when Amy Hill and her husband produced a short documentary called Hula Girl.
This is the bamboo one.
To set the record straight.
She's a fabulous woman, had a fabulous life, and didn't let something really rough and bad take her and her husband, her family down.
Joan's children say their mother's happiness was the best revenge. The question is, can you do the hula hoop? Joan's son, Warren, nope. Her daughter, Laura Lynn, Her son, Gary, a little bit better, but Joan's grandson, Duncan, hooped it up and made the whole family proud. 6 years ago, when I first met Joan, after she showed me how it was done, I failed miserably.
Hey!
But not today. Not on her birthday.
I've been practicing!
Next up came a hula hoop professional. Hula Hula thanks Joan for changing her life.
I found one at a yard sale 10 years ago, started playing around with it, and now I'm traveling the world hula hooping, so.
It just feels right to see the Hula Girl.
Joan, would you sign this for me?
Finally get the credit she deserves.
I asked Siri who brought the hula hoop to America, and it actually says Joan Anderson. And so I'm like, we've made it.
How much money do you think you missed out on?
Millions, yeah. They made 100 million in the first year.
Wow.
And the handshake meant nothing.
This handshake does mean something.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. You win some and you lose some. But I made a lot of people happy.
In the Sevely Zone, Jeff Sevely, CBS 8.
What a story, what a legacy. Jeff, thanks for sharing it. Now, although Joan says Whammo only gave her a $6,000 settlement, having the documentary set the record straight was priceless. Yeah, cleanup in Times Square began almost immediately after crowds cleared following the New Year's celebration. As you can see, crews wasted no time sweeping up the piles and piles of confetti after the ball drop. It took crews the whole night to clear everything. That includes breaking down the main performance stage for the celebration. EarthCam released this time-lapse video of crews taking apart the stage to return Times Square to normal. Well, not quite as chaotic as other celebrations across the country, though. Most cities held fireworks celebrations. Nashville lowered a music note at midnight, while Key West dropped a super-sized shoe carrying a drag queen. May 2024 be so good to you. As always, thank you for your time. Thank you for staying informed. For CBS 8, I'm Jenny Day. Take such good care.